Hello again, it's Dr. Chris Nelson here, and I'd like to talk to you for a minute about the difference between an all-on-4, an all-on-6, or a locator denture. So let's get to it. So I'm surrounded here by a number of models, and these models are examples to show patients to help illustrate the difference between an appliance that has, let's say, 2 implants, 4 implants, aka all on 4, or even 6 implants. And I wanted to discuss a little bit today about the pros and cons associated with all of those different options. Because a lot of times patients come into the office with teeth that are not necessarily the best, okay? And they're asking to make a transition from bad teeth to something more beautiful that is pain-free, no more tooth decay, and can be a prosthetic that they can enjoy and share their smile. So a lot of times it comes down to, well, what are the expectations and what is the budget? The budget, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but as you can imagine, the more implants and the longer the process takes in terms of total visits, the more expensive the appliance is going to be. So you kind of have your small, medium, and large in terms of cost and time that you will invest and I will invest into that process. So let's look at one option. One option is what we help a lot of patients with. It's the most affordable and the most common option for adding stability to the lower denture. And that is a denture that has 2 implants on the bottom. And basically there are 2 ball and socket what we call abutments. Abutment is the little piece that attaches the dental implant to the appliance. Okay, so this older style, as an example, just shows you that the patient can have 2 implants in the front, and then inside the denture there's a little capture device, and you can see that pretty easily there. There's a capture device inside there. The one we use most often is called a Locator. It is made by a company called Zest, and they are anchors that have been around for a really, really long time, and a lot of patients find success with that. So, you know, adding 2 implants on the bottom will help stabilize the lower denture. It still does not prevent it from rocking front to back, okay? I mean, sometimes it does, but most of the time, if we're just talking about 2 implants, we're talking about the denture is going to be supported by the tissue, by your gums and your bone, and it will be retained by the implants, but it still could move. Okay, so some patients that works great. Other patients, they want to step it up and they want more security. And for some people, that means 4 implants. Okay, so we're going from 2 to 4. And you might ask, well, why don't we go from 2 to 3? Well, we could try to put 1 in the center and 2 on the sides, and I have seen that done. But for reliability purposes, usually we do the implants in pairs, just like you have 2 middle teeth, 2 laterals, 2 canines. So it's the same concept with implants. We're going to do 2 on the bottom, and then maybe the next step up from that would be 2 on the bottom, and then 4 on the bottom. And in that case, we can talk about this very common vernacular that is the term all on 4, okay? Now, that covers a couple different appliances in my opinion. One of these appliances is a bar overdenture, okay? The other one is a fixed appliance. Now, in this case, wrong model. Now, in this case, this again is kind of like a toy model that just illustrates generally what the idea is. But in this case, what you'll see is there is a bar splinting 4 implants together, okay? And that bar is allowing all 4 of those implants to act as a group, and it also gives more surface area for the appliance to capture onto the bar. Now, this appliance has a lot of pros and a few cons. The main pro is that when you splint 4 implants together, they are acting as a unit and they are much less likely to fail. And you might say, well, aren't implants supposed to last forever? And in an ideal world, they would. But a lot of times what we'll see is if dentures have the locator abutments, they will actually be acting independently. So you could have 4 or 6 or however many implants with locator attachments, and if the patient only chews over here and the bite is just a little bit off, those implants can actually eventually fail early from overdone load forces. And we do everything we can to balance that, but it is a reality that we have to deal with and we have to be aware of and manage. So a lot of times we say if you're going to do more than 2 implants, we try to splint the implants with a bar. The other way we can splint them is actually with the appliance itself. And I have another video on this, but what you'll see is in this scenario, this is a final appliance, and there's a lot of steps that go into this final appliance. But what you'll see is this final appliance has 4 holes in it. The patient has had 4 implants placed, and the appliance is made out of zirconia, or basically like a white metal or a ceramic. It's very, very hard, and that appliance itself is providing the strength, just like the bar does in this other appliance. So the advantage to something fixed with the zirconia is you can see the appliance itself is much, much thinner. So we'll see this one with the bar overdenture, we call it, has a lot of thickness to it. And this one, the gums are much thinner, there's less extension. So that's something that patients have to think about and consider. The bar overdenture versus the fixed ceramic appliance. And that is considering the all-on-4. The other thing that I want to throw at you is the idea of adding more than 4 implants. And you might say, well, that's just going to add cost. And it does, but relatively speaking, the cost of 2 more implants in these expensive processes, it's not a ton more money. And the reason you might want to consider doing that is if we have 4 implants, think of a chair. Most chairs have 4 legs. If that chair has a leg fail, what happens to the person in the chair? They'll fall over. And in an implant appliance that has 4 implants, if we have one of those implants fail for whatever reason, whether it's oral hygiene related or let's say you have a health issue and all of a sudden your ability to take care of your teeth isn't as good, or you have some unexpected bone loss. If we only have 4 implants and we have 1 or even 2 fail, it's game over for that appliance. And that can be really concerning. So the final thing is, a lot of times when I'm talking with patients about doing an all-on-4, a lot of times I am really stressing the importance of considering doing 6 implants instead of 4. And in this case, we have an example model of that. And it looks very much like the fixed appliance I showed you a second ago, except instead of having 4 holes and 4 implants, it has 6, okay? And these holes get covered up with filling material once the appliance is placed. But what you'll see here is now we have the redundancy that we really love and appreciate, wherein if one of these implants fails, we can still have this appliance be successful. I could take it out, I could unscrew the appliance, we could remove the implant or treat it, do something to it, but we could still have the appliance be okay on 5 implants. Heck, if it even happens, we could roll this appliance from a 6 implant appliance to a 4 implant appliance if things really got bad. And that's not something that we want to happen, but it is a wonderful self-insurance policy and adds stability to the appliance, and I think it's a great thing to consider. So hopefully that helps us understand the difference between a locator denture, an all-on-4 scenario, whether it's the bar overdenture or the fixed overdenture with ceramic or zirconia. And then finally, the concept of 4 implants versus 6 implants and why you would do that. The last thing I'll mention is some dentists will, some patients will ask me, well, why wouldn't we put like 1 implant per tooth? Why wouldn't you do that? Number one, it's really expensive. Number two, it's actually harder to restore the teeth if you have 1 implant per tooth. Number three, it's harder to clean. I could go on and on. Essentially, what we like to do is the most implants we'd ever put in an arch for someone is probably like 6 to 8, okay? And we could talk about that in another video, but you can do like individual bridges and have little gaps where you can floss in between, maybe a little bit easier. So it can be done. It's a great option for some people, but for most people, the 2 implant locator denture or the 4 implant all on 4 or the 6 implant all on 4 is the best option, the most predictable, and has the nicest balance of cost versus outcome. So I'd be happy to answer some questions. I expect you'll have some because this is so much information really quickly. But I just had to get this information out there to share with you so that we can kind of be on the same page of these differences. And then if you're my patient, when we go and talk at our consultation visit, we can kind of be on the same page and have a jump start so that I can answer questions specific to you at that time. So anyways, I'm Dr. Chris Nelson. I'll see you at the next video and have a great day.